Okay, so in this lecture series, we are going to talk about one of the most important and most crucial, vital, whatever word you want to use, which is synonym to important, you could. And that topic name is equipment qualification, because it is not only important for you to learn as a fresher or as a person of another field, but it plays a very important and crucial part in our validation department and overall manufacturing of the drug, substance or product. So इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन, थोड़ा सा देखते हैं इसके बारे में, समझते हैं सबसे पहले कि इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन इस वर्ड से मुझे क्या समझ में आ रहा है. मुझे ये समझ में आ रहा है कि ये दो शब्द को जोड़ के बनाए. वन इज़ इक्विपमेंट एंड वन इज़ क्वालिफिकेशन. सो इफ़ आई गो विद द लिटरल मीनिंग ऑफ दिस वर्ड, इट मीन्स कि हमारे कोई इक्विपमेंट का क्या हो रहा है, क्वालिफिकेशन. जैसे हम क्या हैं, हम ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं and we say that I'm qualified to do this, or you are under qualified, or you are over qualified, or you are not qualified for the given task. So qualification का मतलब क्या होता है. first of all equipment से start कर सकते हैं. so equipment का मतलब क्या होता है. equipment का मतलब basically in हिंदी it means उपकरण और apparatus, right. So equipment is mainly, it is basically a set of tools. Okay, it is a set of tools or objects commonly used to achieve a particular target or object or process. So different jobs require different kinds of equipments. Okay, जैसे क्रिकेट इक्विपमेंट होते हैं, कैंपिंग इक्विपमेंट होते हैं, हैवी इक्विपमेंट होते हैं फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन, मिलिट्री इक्विपमेंट होते हैं. ओके, साइंटिफिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स होते हैं. सो इस इक्विपमेंट का क्वालिफिकेशन करना. ठीक है, अब क्वालिफिकेशन का लिटरल डेफिनेशन देख लेते हैं हम. अभी हम इन टर्म्स ऑफ इन टर्म्स ऑफ फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री नहीं बात करें, हम इन जनरल बात करेंगे. इक्विपमेंट इन जनरल क्या होता है और क्वालिफिकेशन मतलब क्या होता है. तो क्वालिफिकेशन मतलब कि एक कंडीशन दैट मस्ट बी फुलफिल्ड बिफोर अ राइट कैन बी एक्वायर्ड और एन ऑफिशियल रिक्वायरमेंट. या फिर जब हम कहते हैं कि हमने एक एग्जामिनेशन ऑफिशियली कंप्लीट कर दिया है कोर्स का, और उसके बाद हम एक रिकग्नाइज प्रैक्टिशनर बन जाते हैं एक प्रोफेशन या एक्टिविटी का. सो दैट इज नोन एज क्वालिफिकेशन. यानी कि क्या, योग्यता, विशेषता या अर्हता. सो इट इज, दिस इज व्हाट क्वालिफिकेशन मीन्स. अब हम बात करते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ pharmaceutical industries. So what happens that, as I have mentioned, that equipment qualification is a very important part in pharmaceutical industry, because the equipment not only includes the manufacturing equipment but also the testing and sampling equipment, right. So even a very slightest error or misuse can pose a costly risk and time delay for the pharmaceutical product owner and their manufacturer. So आप इमेजिन करो कि एक डेली लाइफ सिचुएशन कि आप एक फॉर एग्जांपल टीवी लेने जा रहे हो या वॉशिंग मशीन लेने जा रहे हो. तो वो टीवी, फ्रिज, वॉशिंग मशीन में भी हम काफ़ी ठोक परख के वी परचेज दैट थिंग आफ्टर सो मेनी इवेल्युएशन, because generally we all belong from a middle class family. Even if you're from a high class family, whether you're purchasing anything, people look for how that equipment or that device can benefit them in the given this thing, in the given budget, right. तो ये तो हम अपने ऐसे अप्लाइंसेस की बात करें जो हम डेली यूज़ करते हैं. अभी तो हम उस अप्लाइंसेस की बात कर रहे हैं जिसमें कि हमारे दवाइयाँ बनेगी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इट इज़ सेड दैट if you drink water from copper jug, it is beneficial to your health. If you cook in iron utensils or iron के कढ़ाई में or pots, then it is good for your health. If you give or drink water in plastic water bottles, or you are giving milk to a baby in plastic bottle, it is considered negatively, that it can have negative impact on your body. What is happening here, that that particular appliance or that particular water bottle or that object, we are assessing it with so much of so much of micro analysis is being made there without like getting into the scientific details. तो यहाँ पे तो बात हमारे ड्रग्स की हो रही है, those drugs which will directly affect our health, because we are eating medicines only for the sake of getting better. And if this medicine is affecting us in a negative way just because of some minor errors which we overlooked while processing or while manufacturing, then it is not good. So therefore our equipment must be qualified. That is the primary most requirement. और वो पूरा हम अभी डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे, equipment qualification, and it is necessary. So what is basically equipment qualification? Equipment qualification is a series. Okay, series है मतलब कि एक नहीं है, इसमें बहुत सारी स्टेप्स आती है, मल्टीपल स्टेप्स. इट इज़ अ सीरीज ऑफ इंस्पेक्शन, राइट. हम इंस्पेक्ट करते हैं, टेस्ट करते हैं और फिर उसको असेस करते हैं. क्यों? वाई? टू इंश्योर, ये पक्का करने के लिए, टू इंश्योर दैट अ गिवन पीस ऑफ इक्विपमेंट whatever is in front of us, tablet punching machine, dryer or roller or mixer or any blender, any kind of equipment is compliant and और क्या इंश्योर कर रहे हैं हम, ensures reliable performance. Compliant means जो भी हमारे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन है, वेदर इट इज सेट बाय द इंटरनेशनल गाइडलाइंस दैट वी फॉलो और द कंपनी गाइडलाइंस, उससे कंप्लायंट है, ठीक है. और हमें एक रिलायबल परफॉर्मेंस देंगे. हम जब टीवी करते, जब वॉशिंग मशीन लाते हैं, उसका एक डेमो रखा जाता है सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसेस एंड वी expect that machine gives this kind of performance throughout its life cycle, right? और वो गारंटी भी देते हैं कि we have give you 2 years guarantee. So it gives a reliable performance. So equipment validation is required to prove that a given piece of equipment does on a consistent basis what it's supposed to do. तो मैं अपने इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन के द्वारा ये प्रूफ कर रही हूँ कि अगर मेरी पंचिंग मशीन कहती है कि वो 1 मिनट में इतनी टैबलेट्स पंच कर सकती है विदाउट अफेक्टिंग द क्वालिटी, सेफ्टी एंड एफिकेसी ऑफ द ड्रग प्रोडक्ट, देन इट मीन्स दैट इट डज इट. तो और इसको बहुत अच्छे से हम डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे जब क्वेश्चन आएगा कि वाई डू वी नीड टू क्वालिफाई द इक्विपमेंट. सो और दूसरी इसके डेफिनेशन जो आप बोल सकते हो एट द टाइम ऑफ गिविंग इंटरव्यू और व्हेन यू आर एक्सप्लेनिंग इट टू समवन एल्स, दैट इट इज़ अ डॉक्यूमेंट एविडेंस. ठीक है, डॉक्यूमेंटल एविडेंस दैट प्रीमाइसेस सिस्टम्स और इक्विपमेंट्स. तो क्वालिफिकेशन सिस्टम का भी होता है, इक्विपमेंट का भी होता है और प्रीमाइसेस का भी होता है. सिस्टम बोले तो HVAC सिस्टम, HVAC सिस्टम, AHU सिस्टम्स, इन सिस्टम्स का भी क्वालिफिकेशन होता है, इक्विपमेंट्स का भी होता है. सो दे आर सेइंग कि इट इज़ बेसिकली qualification is basically documented evidence. We are giving you evidence in the form of documents that whatever it is, whether it's our premises, systems or equipments, they are able to achieve the predetermined specifications. What I said, right? If I said that at 150 degrees Celsius my dryer can dry this product at this much time interval, तो मेरे पास उसका डॉक्यूमेंटेड एविडेंस होना चाहिए कि येस इट इज़ एबल टू डू सो. एंड दैट डॉक्यूमेंटेड एविडेंस ऐसा नहीं कि हमने लिखा आपने मान लिया, विथ साइंटिफिक प्रूफ्स. online scientific proofs. So when properly installed and or work correctly, which leads to expected results. So these are some definitions of equipment qualification. If you want, I can give you more definitions, but for right now, without getting confused, these are enough. तो हमने अपने इक्विपमेंट को क्वालिफाई किया. सो इफ समवन सेज व्हाट इज क्वालिफिकेशन, अगर हम बात करें इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन की, तो क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है? तो इट इज़ अ डॉक्यूमेंटेड एविडेंस दैट वट एवर इट इज़, इफ इट इज़ आर प्रीमाइसेस या फिर हमारा सिस्टम या फिर हमारा इक्विपमेंट, वो it is able to achieve or are able to achieve the predetermined. If I'm saying that 5 minutes is the time taken for it to completely spray coat on a tablet, on this amount of particular tablet, then it is able to do so when it is properly installed, and it will work correctly and it will give you desired results, right? ठीक है. तो अब आपके दिमाग में नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा होगा कि why do we need equipment qualification and why do we need to qualify the equipment? अगर मैं गई दुकान पे, okay, the buyer said that this is the best mobile in the market, okay, and you should purchase this only, और मैं उसको लेके भी आ गई, मैं उसको यूज़ भी कर रही हूँ, तो मैं क्या इतना अंधाधुंध विश्वास कर सकती हूँ? जस्ट फॉर अ मोबाइल आई एम नॉट एबल टू डू सो. So think about equipments that are used directly or indirectly in manufacturing processes. ठीक है. तो equipment qualification is needed for two major purposes. Equipment qualification is needed for two main purposes. और उसका पहला पर्पस है, okay, first purpose, which is very direct, no, like you can't beat around the bush with this point, is qualification is needed by the regulatory authorities. Like what? Like FDA, like EMA, like MHRA, like WHO require the GMP equipment. हाँ, अब चलो उस पर आते हैं हम. तो इसको थोड़ा हम प्रैक्टिकली समझते हैं, राइट? रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज़ आर ए रिलेटेड, आपको अगर वीडियो लेक्चर सीरीज देखनी है, यू कैन look at CTD submissions and all, it's all related to RA. Moving on, regulatory authority, right? So suppose you have manufactured a drug, simplest one example हम लेंगे PCM. Now you want to market this PCM in USA or in Europe, okay? तो USA या यूरोप में मार्केट करते टाइम जब आप एप्लीकेशन दोगे, दैट इज़ योर CTD या आप ANDA या NDA जो भी आप अप्लाई करोगे, उस टाइम पे दे विल आस्क, जब बेसिकली डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगेंगे वो या इंस्पेक्शन होगा, दे विल आस्क यू फॉर योर इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन, दैट वट एवर इक्विपमेंट यू यूज ड्यूरिंग द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ द ड्रग प्रोडक्ट, उनके qualification का data they will ask you. Why? Because it is written in their guideline, it is written in US FDA, it is written in ICH guideline, it is written in 21 CFR that we need equipment qualifications. We need equipment. आपने जो प्रोडक्ट हमारे कंट्री में भेज रहे हो, जो इक्विपमेंट में वो मैन्युफैक्चर हुआ या प्रोसेस हुआ या कंट्रोल हुआ, उसका क्वालिफिकेशन है कि नहीं, ओके? तो आप यू कांट स्टैंड देयर एंड से टू द ऑडिटर और से टू द पर्सन इन चार्ज दैट येस आवर इक्विपमेंट इज क्वालिफाइड. दे वोंट ट्रस्ट यू, राइट? एंड यू कांट शो जस्ट द documents that you received while installing the document. So they will ask you for each and every question, they will ask you to give your justification or give your reason, or what was the rationale behind it. Why, if you said that installation qualification pass हुआ कैसे, so you have a series of tests that you performed, and those tests का जो result आया वो आपके predetermined specifications के according था, it matched your specified values, and that test was passed. So IQ was passed, and it was performed by different department. Production was involved, engineering was involved, validation department was involved, QA was involved, at sometimes QC is also involved. तो ये सारे क्वालिफाइड पर्सनल ने, ओके, क्वालिफाइड पर्सनल ने अपनी फील्ड्स के इस इक्विपमेंट को टेस्ट किया. समटाइम्स थर्ड पार्टी एजेंसीज आर ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्ड. सो इन्होंने इसको टेस्ट किया एंड दे हैव सेड दैट इट इज़ IQ, OQ, PQ, इन सब स्टेजेस में वो पास हुआ. And we have the evidence to prove it. We have online documents as well as to prove it, and that is why we say that our equipment is qualified, and that is why this definition comes into life, that it is a documented evidence. You can't just stand there blankly and say that my equipment is. The auditor doesn't know you and he does not want to believe you. That is how they come, and they ask every kind of uljalul questions. So you'll give them evidence in documented forms that this is the proof. जब आप कोर्ट भी जाते हो or you want to give someone the evidence that you have done that thing or you have performed that thing, so you need to provide alibis, you need to provide documented evidences or proofs when you are standing in front of the court. Similarly यहाँ पे भी, because it is not your personal, like I hope you're I hope you're getting the situation right. So एक मल्टीपल सीरीज ऑफ इंस्पेक्शन, टेस्ट और असेसमेंट के बाद जिसने हमें प्रूफ दिया कि हमारा इक्विपमेंट कंप्लायंट स्टेट में है और रिलायबल परफॉर्मेंस दे रहा है. सो हमने बेसिकली इस इक्विपमेंट क्वालिफिकेशन से प्रूफ किया कि ये गिवन इक्विपमेंट जो निर्धारित काम के लिए लिया है, इट इज डूइंग व्हाट इट्स सपोज टू डू विद द हेल्प ऑफ व्हाट, डॉक्यूमेंटेड एविडेंस. ठीक है, तो हमारा पहला रिक्वायरमेंट आ गया कि क्वालिफिकेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड बाय रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज. एग्जाम्पल हमने दिए और इनमें क्या कहा कि एज पर द गुड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रैक्टिसेस इक्विपमेंट यूज्ड इन द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. ओके, गुड पॉइंट टू बी एडेड है that if you are telling someone this answer, you can say that it is the primary most requirement by the regulatory authorities such as FDA, EMA, MHRA and WHO, that they require that GMP, that is your good manufacturing practices. Okay, according आपने जो equipment use किया for manufacturing pharmaceutical drug needs to be qualified before release of their intended use. So this is a good line. You can write that GMP, that is good manufacturing practices, requires the equipment used for manufacturing drug products needs to be qualified before it is released for their intended use. अब यहाँ पे जो इन्होंने बोला बिफोर इट इज़ रिलीज फॉर योर इंटेंडेड यूज़, मीन्स कि आपके फैसिलिटीज़ पे एक नया इक्विपमेंट आया, विदाउट इट्स प्रॉपर क्वालिफिकेशन आप उसको यूज़ नहीं कर सकते. यू कांट से कि मेरे को जिस पर्सन ने इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चर करके दिया, क्योंकि ये इक्विपमेंट्स भी तो कहीं फैक्ट्री से बन के आ रहे होंगे, उसने कहा उत्तम क्वालिटी और मैंने मान लिया. नो, आई विल प्रूफ इट बिकॉज आई एम गोइंग टू यूज़ इट. सिमिलरली वो इक्विपमेंट ऐसा नहीं कि आपने एक बार क्वालिफाई करा और वो क्वालिफिकेशन आजीवन जब तक कंपनी चल रही तब तक चल रहा है. देयर इज ऑल्सो समथिंग नोन एज रीक्वालिफिकेशन. रीक्वालिफिकेशन मतलब कि डिपेंडिंग ऑन द क्रिटिकलिटी ऑफ इक्विपमेंट, ओके, हर 3 साल या 5 साल में उसका रीक्वालिफिकेशन भी होता है, राइट. जैसे हम मेंटेनेंस कराते हैं ना अपने इक्विपमेंट्स का, यहाँ पे रीक्वालिफिकेशन हो जाएगी. क्या अभी भी वो बढ़िया है? अगर होता है तो यू कैन यूज़ इट, इफ इट्स नॉट देन अगेन उसको आप डिस्कार्ड करके नया इक्विपमेंट लो. During the qualification process, a piece of equipment will be tested to prove that it meets the requirement of what a user has expected, that is user specification. What it is called as यूज़र रिक्वायरमेंट स्पेसिफिकेशन, यूआरएस, इसके बारे में भी हम पढ़ेंगे डिटेल में. एंड व्हाट इक्विपमेंट इज डिज़ाइन फॉर, दैट इज डीक्यू, डिज़ाइन क्वालिफिकेशन. सो इस टेस्ट में ना कि सिर्फ हम ये देखते हैं कि व्हाट आर दी, मतलब see this point you will learn in detail in the coming series, lecture series, but in short what I want to say is that URS matlab user required specification. I went to a shop to purchase a mobile. I said my budget is 15,000. I am a gamer, so I want a phone that will support my gaming hobby, and it should have good storage. It should be of black in color because I am a programmer. I do not want something girlish, so I want it to be in matte, nothing glossy, something like that. I'm giving the requirements in general. So based on that, a design qualification will be prepared. So what they're saying is that these tests are tested to prove that it meets the requirement of what a user has expected and what the equipment is designed for. So if you're delivering me that phone at that time, if the phone is 25,000 or it is white in or pink in color or it has less storage, then it means that my requirements were not fulfilled. So the equipment will be disqualified. So we need the equipment firstly for regulatory requirement, okay. एंड इसमें अगर हम डिटेल में जाएं, लाइक जनरली एफडीए को ज़्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट माना जाता है, टीजीए को ज़्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट माना जाता है. देन कम्स यूरोपियन गाइडलाइंस. सो वी विल स्टार्ट विथ यूएस गाइडलाइंस, दैट इज़ 21 CFR. क्योंकि हमने कहा, and this is very important, right? When I was learning all this, now I gave quite some time to learn this, and then I'm serving whatever I've learned to you. Okay, now if like I'm also a learner, I always consider myself as a learner and not as an expert, because these things you can't learn in just one sitting. You also need to have practical knowledge, you need theoretical knowledge, you need as much as knowledge you can from every point of view. So there will be many experts who would watch this video in future, and for them I would look like someone who has missed out few points. So this is what I have learned throughout the years I'm serving you. And when I was learning it, I searched it on internet why we need equipment qualification while I was working, and they said regulatory requirement. I said okay, I understand that it's regulatory requirement, but what actually those guidelines say about equipment qualification, okay, वो भी तो पढ़ना ज़रूरी है. Otherwise just saying that FDA requires, but what do they expect from us as manufacturing companies? We should also know that. So 21 CFR, chapter 1, okay, of FDA. Subchapter C, ड्रग्स जनरल, इसमें भी आता है सब पार्ट डी, दैट इज इक्विपमेंट. इसमें क्या कह रहे हैं वो इक्विपमेंट में, अब इसके अंदर भी आता है सेक्शन. सो इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू नो एटलीस्ट द हेडिंग ऑफ दिस सेक्शन. तो वो क्या बोल रहा है, इक्विपमेंट डिज़ाइन, size and location. Now what happens is that I am preparing a lot of topics when I'm putting it up on YouTube, because I find it quite fascinating, and I'm very passionate to upload such videos whatever I learn about. Now what happens is that by the end of the day I'm tired, because I'm the one person who is researching first of all, making notes, then delivering you guys, because I don't like the printed material to be there on the screen, so I like to handwrite it, then I edit it and upload it. So I'm like doing multitasking here by myself. So when I'm writing in this language, these kinds of handwriting, just try and understand and apologize me for such a doctor like handwriting, I would say jokingly, because I'm tired honestly by the end of the day. So you can click on CC button at the top right corner of the screen for the captions, and you will really find it helpful. So once I'm sharing this experience, that once in an interview I was asked that, okay, you're talking about this particular thing, what heading, like which section of 21 CFR talks about it, because I was being a smart ass, right? And then consecutively in other interview I was asked that, okay, what does section this entails. So it was about CTD. Okay, I don't quite remember their question, but they were asking me indirectly that, okay, you're talking about CTD, right? So which section of sorry, NDA and ANDA. So they said me, which section of 21 CFR talks about this. Instead of asking this question to me directly, they said, okay, they named me the section, like section 211.63 talks about what. So you should know, because you are kind of claiming that we know about this, so you should know the guidelines as well, because that is on the basis of that they'll ask you the question. So you say that equipment design, size and location is what this section talks about. No one in the entire universe, and I'll claim, expects from you to you expects from you to know the exact wordings of the guideline, but they want to know whether you are well versed with the guidelines or not. Okay, because no one in this entire universe can ratify the guidelines. There's so many guidelines on so many different things, and you should not also ratify it, you should know the crux of it, and I'll tell you how. This equipment design, size and location, they say that equipment used in the manufacture, processing, packing or holding. ठीक है, now understand it. When I was saying it to you guys in the lecture, I only use these two words. I didn't use packing or holding, but these are also included in the guideline. This is why you must know the guideline. You don't have to ratify the English. कुछ words होते हैं जो आपको highlight होने चाहिए. So manufacture, processing, packing or holding of a drug product shall be of appropriate design. अब उन्होंने conditions बताई. क्या बताई? Appropriate design, adequate size, suitably located to facilities operation, for its intended use, and for its cleaning and for its maintenance. So this is the actual line from 21 CFR. When you look at guidelines, they have just put it in points or paragraphs. You have to highlight the keywords there, like manufacturing, processing, packaging, holding. 4 different kind of things they have, or activities they have mentioned. Wherever equipment is required in all these 4 things, it must be qualified, what indirectly they are trying to say. So then comes next part of the guideline, that is section 200 and section 211.65 which talks about equipment construction, and there it says that equipment shall be constructed such that, or so that the surfaces that contact components, okay, which is in contact with the component or in process material or drug product shall not be reactive. So this surface whichever is in contact with the our material shall not be reactive. So why did I included this point while discussing about equipment qualification is that when you're preparing your DQ, when you're qualifying your instrument, this is a requirement that needs to be taken care of, and this is basically a very utmost proper requirement which can't be diluted or any of its material. So these surfaces should not be reactive, additive or absorptive, not only reactive. So this is why we look at guidelines. They say not at all reactive, and also it should not be additive, that it adds on the product, or it should be absorptive, that it is absorbed on the product. So these are the three words that they mention in the guideline. Why have they mentioned this? So as to alter the what? Safety, identity, strength, purity, and mainly quality. So why it should not alter what? It should not alter the safety, identity, strength, purity and quality of the drug product beyond the official or other established requirements. And there is a subpart B to this which says that any substances required for operations such as lubricants, if you are requiring lubricants or you are requiring coolants, shall not come in direct contact with the components. So these should not come in direct contact with the component. This is my API or my excipient, and it should not come in direct contact with such things like the mentioned. Drug product container closures in process material or drug products so as to alter the safety, identity, purity, quality, strength of the drug product beyond the official or other established requirement. Right, so this is how you take the guidance and help of the guidelines. They help you not to exactly, they will not tell you the exact quantity or exact wordings, do this like this way only, or else it would be they provide you with general guidelines. Now the next thing is that, so we learn about the qualification, that it is a series of inspection, test and assessment in order to ensure that a given piece of equipment is compliant and ensures reliable performance. So equipment validation is basically required to prove that a given piece of equipment does on a consistent basis what it is supposed to do. It is critical to consistently produce high quality product. Qualification required by, so there's obviously the qualification is required by the regulatory authorities like FDA, EMA, MHRA, WHO, and all such regulatory bodies require them to fulfill, that it fulfills the GMP requirements basically of the manufacturing plant, and therefore it needs to be qualified before release for its intended use. Okay, now there is one thing that needs to be told is basically when I'm saying compliant, when I'm saying qualification, validate, so compliance का मतलब क्या होता है? So compliance basically means action or fact of complying with a wish or command. Complying with a wish or command. The state or fact of according with or meeting rules or standards. So basically compliance means an institute, when you are when you are enrolling in a college and they ask you of certain documents, you provide them with the documents listed in their rules, right? So you have complied with what they have asked. You have whatever you did was actually in accordance with the rule and it met the required standards. Qualification is, again, as we said, is a condition or standard that must be compiled with. Validate or validation is to make legally, to legalize, to give official like sanction or confirmation or approval to as elected official or selection procedure or documents, etc. So to quote, like this is what the statement made is, um, the statement made in section 211.63 is, what does it state basically? It states that equipment used in the manufacture, processing, or packing or holding of a drug product shall be of appropriate design, adequate size, suitably located to facilitate operations for its intended use or for its cleaning and maintenance. So the statement made is that FDA is not specific of what needs to be done. The equipment needs to be appropriately designed. So that is what they look for. They should have of a size that accommodates the process. So this size should basically accommodate the process. So they have not given a size requirement कि इतने से इतना. Adequate size means whatever is your process, it should accommodate the process. As well as cleanable and maintained. So it should be clean and maintained. So that is why they mention the wordings and not exact needs or exact rules. So exact things that needs to be mandated. It is up to each company to decide how to qualify the equipment. So it depends on Cipla, depends on Intas, it depends on many other pharmaceutical companies how they qualify the equipment. It's just that the general requirements of the guidelines should be met. That is proving that equipment meets its intended use. Very important. That the equipment meets its intended use. Its design will make the product effective without adding to or taking anything out of the product, and it can be cleaned. All the components or ingredients or material used in the manufacturing process can be removed to provable safe level, and it can be effectively maintained. So it can be clean and it can be effectively maintained. Clean का मतलब ये होता है, not only should it be clean physically, but any remains of the previous batch or previous product or previous chemical or drug substance or drug product should not be present, and it should not be carried forwarded on the next batch. That is what they want to say in all these things. So this was kind of like a general introduction on equipment qualification in accordance with the US FDA guideline as per 21 CFR, what 21 CFR states. If you want to learn about other guidelines as well, you can comment down below. So I'll include all those as well. And in the next lecture series, we'll learn about USR, that is user requirement specification. And if there is any more guidelines need to be stated for equipment qualification, till then please like, share and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell